Sorry about that, guys.
So, as you guys know, LinkedIn Live is in beta. Some technical difficulties. So hopefully we are back, and then we'll get started. We're going to continue on from objection number 3. Once we get going, just going to let some followers come in. But LinkedIn Live, it's an interesting little tool to have going. I think it's going to be really good, but obviously there's a few quirks still that then need to be fixed.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to reach out to your network and to share amazing content. So I think it's about time that they had this.
Yeah, I mean, all the other platforms now, everything's going to video emails, videos, and it's just about providing value.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Instagram is great to see, your friend's dog rolling around in the mud, but it really is not going to change your life in any way. This is better content for, hopefully people in sales that are joining us today. And, what we're talking about previously before we got cut off was handling objections. So one of the objections that you might run into is, thanks for your time, thanks for the presentation, but this isn't a priority for us now, which I always feel is a bit strange because they've taken the time to book or take a meeting with you or book a meeting with you. So I think this is one of those instances where if they're telling you it's not a priority of theirs right now, it's a failure of the salesperson in that presentation or somewhere along in the process to miss the opportunity to demonstrate the value or of the product or service that they're selling. So what I usually try to do to avoid this altogether is create what they call a fabricated sense of urgency. So when you have delivered your story and you've given them your pitch, you want to make them understand that there's a timeline to taking the opportunity to enter the deal with you. So what I always say is our pricing is, pricing always changes. So yeah. I always remind them that, take your time to think about it, but our pricing may change in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
And you know what? When somebody says it's not our priority, I mean, if I can tell a sales rep, hey, I can get you 20 extra demos, or I can tell a CEO, I can double your revenue. Like, you can turn a not a priority into a priority if you put it out there correctly. So I don't believe in it's not a priority. I think as a salesperson, you could really deal with that objection very well. So number 4 we're going to talk about is, I'm using a different solution. How often do you hear you're speaking to somebody, I'm using A or I'm using B? Well, here's a few things that you should do. A, your prospect is not going to cancel their current subscription. Most softwares, especially nowadays, or even consultants, have you on contracts. They have a 3-month contract, a 1-year contract. So what you have to do is ask the question, when is your existing contract up? And then what I would do is I would put like a reminder on your CRM, like 1 month before to follow up. Or if, for example, you have a software like we have, you might want to start, trying to transition them over and show them the value and the incentive of using your platform versus the one they're currently under contract. But they're not going to just change out of the blue, so you have to make sure you stay in touch with them. Another good way I know we've done in the past is, we like to send our marketing newsletter every Tuesday, and sending a newsletter to stay in front of your prospect also will help you when they say that they're currently using another prospect, because you want to try and engage with them and also provide value, but also show them what is the feature that is going to get them to change from your prospect or your competitor over to you. So make sure you use those tools when you do have the objection that I'm using a different solution.
The other thing I would say is, a good salesperson along the way is going to make sure that they know all of their competitors inside and out. Whether or not you join the company and you're selling for them, you've just started 3 months ago, or if you've been there for 13 years, always make sure you know your competitors inside and out so you know what your advantages or disadvantages are versus each of them. So even if they're currently using that product, you can explain to them why making a transition to yours is a good choice.
Yeah, and so the next one's an interesting one. So the 5th one I want to talk about is, I haven't heard about your company before. That is one that I personally got when I started my first data company, and then Autoklose. At the beginning was like, oh, well, how long have you been in business? And, I haven't heard of you before. Well, I'll tell you two things you need to do. A, you need to be confident. You need to be confident in your product. You have to be confident in your company. The second is you still need to build that trust. Now, how do you build that trust? You need to provide relevant information of the nature of your business. So provide that information to show them about your business and what your business can do. Another thing I would do is, bring up some names. Early on, we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to work with, I think it was one of Canada's largest companies and about 3 of the Fortune 50 companies in the U.S. with my data company. And that built trust. So when you can go and start name dropping, oh, I work with company A, B, and C, and people know, or you can name like Apple, Google, Amazon, whoever you're working with, or the big companies that people recognize, that will also build and help the reputation of your company. Even though you might be, a small fish in a pond, you can also make yourself look a lot bigger. And that's something that everyone is going to overcome when you start a business, especially. But the most important thing is, I would say, is be confident when you're on the calls. Talk highly about your business. Be confident in your product. 'Cause if you're not confident in your product, you can't get that prospect.
Mm-hmm. The other thing that comes up often is we're already doing great in that area. Thanks, for the information, but we already have that handled. Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, 100%. And let me tell you, when somebody says we're already doing great in that area, they can always do better. You can always do better. Companies like Apple, Facebook, Amazon, Google, they're all being very innovative. Okay, so they're not stopping when they're at the top of their industry. They're always trying to get better. And I say with competitive sports, when I used to teach tennis, you can always get better in sports. You can always get better in business. So when you have that objection, we're already great in that area. You have to find a way and find that one feature in your product that differentiates yourself from your competitor. Because once you can do that, you can show them that one feature that might help them 3x their business, and that will only help you get that prospect. So if you do hear that objection, definitely it's something you can take care of.
Number 7 is you don't have this feature, or you don't have this or that. And I feel like this is a really interesting one to me because, first of all, I think that it's important when you're in the sales meeting that you at the outset figure out what their needs are specifically. And this sort of conversation should already be had in the beginning. But story that I'll use to explain this in a better way is, when we all go, let's say I go to Harry Rosen, or I go to a store and I want to buy a shirt, or I'm just looking around and I don't want to be, a salesperson comes over and obviously harasses you and says, hey, can I help you? What are you looking for? Blah, blah. I know what I'm looking for. So I usually want to shut that down as quickly as possible. And so if I'm looking at something, they'll always say, they'll say something like, can I get you that in a size? And I'm like, just to shut down the conversation, I'll say, well, I was actually looking for this in blue. Yeah. It's unfortunate you don't have this in blue, but thanks anyways. But a good salesperson in that case, if it were me, it would say, we actually have something really similar in blue that looks like that shirt and happens to be on sale for 25%. That's what a good salesperson would do, is take something that I've expressed as that I'm looking for, but offer an alternative that's similar and maybe has more value.
Yeah, and I would, just to add on that, you don't have this feature. This is something that, as a salesperson, you might want to bring to your superior, because if you don't have this feature, this is definitely something that you might want to add as a feature. So also take that objection and try and take that into your business and grow it that way as well.
Another strange one we come across sometimes is I don't like contracts. So this is, this may or may not come up in the business that you guys operate in, but when it does come up, what we use as a strength of Autoklose, especially since the beginning, is that we're a smaller company and we have the latitude. While we normally would try to sign people on for an annual contract, what I try to do is have the latitude to work with them. If they're shying away from signing with you because they don't want to enter a 1, 2, or 3 year contract, offer an alternative. Like say, okay, well, how about we sign you up for a 3-month deal? And if you like the product, if you're happy with it at that point, then at that point we can transition into a 1-year commitment. But give them be flexible and have the flexibility to at least give them an opportunity to try the product.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. Especially, I mean, I would say just starting out, when we started out, a lot of people didn't want to do the annual contracts because it goes back to building that trust. You got to build that trust with your prospects before you can ask for that annual commitment. So if you, in the meantime, you have to start going to quarterly commitments, that's one thing I would definitely look into.
Mm-hmm. And then what's the next one that we usually? We don't have time right now.
Yeah. We don't have time right now. The next one.
So I think somewhere along the line, if you've done everything properly in the sales process and in your presentation, you're going to come across something where the prospect says, it's completely unforeseen, out of your control. I think they're going to say something like, we don't have the time for this right now. We just got slammed with a project. We're going to have to reconnect maybe in 3 months or 6 months time, which is fine. And I think the worst thing that you can do in this particular case as a salesperson is fight that, because it's not going to get you anywhere. So what I usually do, and what works for us, is I will tell our sales team or anyone that's doing a sales, trying to close a deal, I'll tell them to find out when the best time is to get back to that prospect. Put it in the calendar, and make sure that you leave that interaction with the prospect understanding that your time is just as important as theirs. If I usually don't sweat it at all. If I give the impression that they're the ones potentially losing out on a really good deal, or the benefits or advantages of our service or our product, then what usually happens is a good number of them will come back to us a few months later and say, now I'm ready.
Yeah. Perfect. So number 10, I've had a bad experience with this. Now, we all hear this all the time. A prospect with a bad experience will be reluctant to get your product or service. So here's a few things that I do to help someone that has had a bad experience. A, show them the value in your platform. B, a lot of people that have had a bad experience, the reason why they had a bad experience is because A, they might not have been trained correctly, or they simply don't know how to use the platform, or they're not getting the customer service and kind of hand-holding early on. So a few things you can do. I know we've recently done this, hiring a customer success manager that's kind of like an onboarding person that spends an hour with you once you sign up with the platform. They walk you through it. They answer all your questions. They help connect your email and do different things. Second, I would say is using tools like Drift, Intercom, etc. Those chat tools where people can really ask any questions real time and get answers real time. And I would say third would be have a knowledge base. Nowadays, you see all these big companies have like company ABC Insider, for example. So have all those help centers there and help support there to help those people that have had a bad experience turn it into a good experience by using your platform. Another one, it's too complicated to use, and I kind of think that's very similar to the one we just discussed. I mean, when it's complicated to use or had a bad experience, it's all about getting them on the platform, but showing them exactly how to use it. Showing them what are the good subject lines. Show them what are good body emails. Should you be adding an email signature? Should you not be adding an email signature? All of this is very important and stuff that you need to do to continue to build the trust of your prospects. And I would say the last one is I can find this product/service cheaper somewhere else. Well, A, don't lower your price. Okay? Do your due diligence on your competitors and find out how you are different. What quality of features that you have that your competitors don't have might be of value and make your product a little more. I mean, for example, I always use an example. You can get a Starbucks coffee, you can get a Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons coffee. They're both coffees, but why can Starbucks charge $5-6 a coffee and the other ones charge $2? It's all about perception. So it's the same with sales. Don't lower your price. Find out what the experience that you can provide that's more valuable, or that one feature that you have that's more valuable. I would say that's a good example for for trying not to lower your price?
I think just not only, to sort of sum everything up, I think not only is someone trying to beat you up on price, or someone saying that your product's too complicated, or I just don't get it. Those are all symptoms of you needing to refine your story and your pitch, right? Because you're not demonstrating to them the worth or the value, or you're not pointing out, in an easy enough fashion, what it is that the service is really going to do for them. So keep refining.
Yeah.
Keep get your sales pitch down pat, where potentially you can avoid all of these objections just from the way that you present your story.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, that was a lot of fun. We had, thanks for coming on. It's 12 objections we went through. I know we said we're going to be 25 to 30 minutes. I think we went a little bit almost over, but
we'll do these more often.
Yeah. Also, guys, if you have any guests, we are going to be looking to bring on some guests to our weekly LinkedIn Live. So if you have any guests, please let me know. Who would you like us to bring on? Tag them in the comments section, and I'll reach out personally to them to try and get them as a guest on the show. Also, congratulations to the 3 winners. I know we discussed it earlier. Kenny Asif, Lance Davidson, and Marcy Bucci. Feel free to DM me so you can get your prizes. We will be we recorded this. We'll send this out, but send us your questions. And then we are going to, right after this, I'll go through all the questions, and our team will be answering. Any question you have with sales, with objection, let us know any objections you had, any stories you have. We love hearing them. And thank you very much.